Hello, how are you? I haven't done a video in a while, a few days. I'm reading from um, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, and we're dealing with black women in the United States. And when go back to the beginning, because though black people hate to say it and white people hate to say it, black life, the roots of it go back to slavery and how this society was organized around the labor where blacks were used for the benefit of everybody else. And a lot of mental things went on those plantations, a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma. And we fought through it over the years, Reconstruction, Renaissances, civil rights movements, 1800s and in the 1900s. But there's still tinges of it. And the slave, the plantation construct is strong. It survives. The trials of girlhood. During the first years of my service in Dr. Flynn's family, I was accustomed to share some indulgences with the children of my mistress. Though this seemed to me no more than right, I was grateful for it and tried to merit the kindness by the faithful discharge of my duties. But I know I now entered on my 15th year. I said, a sad epic in the life of a slave girl. My master began to whisper foul words in my ear. Young as I was, I could not remain ignorant of their import. I tried to treat them with indifference or contempt. The master's age, my extreme youth, and the fear that his conduct would be reported to my grandmother made him bear this treatment for many months. He was a crafty man and resorted to many means to accomplish his purposes. Sometimes he had stormy, terrific ways that made his victims tremble. Sometimes he assumed a gentleness that he thought must surely subdue. Of the two, I preferred his stormy moods, although they left me trembling. He tried his utmost to corrupt the pure principles my grandmother had instilled. He peopled my young mind with unclean images such as only a vile monster could think of. I turned from him with disgust and hatred, but he was my master. I was compelled to live under the same roof with him. Where I saw a man 40 years my senior, daily violating the most sacred commandments of nature, he told me I was his property, that I must be subject to his will in all things. My soul revolted against the mean tyranny, but where could I turn for protection? No matter whether the slave girl be as black as ebony or as fair as her mistress, in either case there is no shadow of law to protect her from insult, from violence, or even from death. All these are inflicted by fiends who bear the shape of men. The mistress, who ought to protect the helpless victim, has neither feelings toward her but those of jealousy and rage. The degradation, the wrongs, the vices that grow out of slavery are more than I can describe. They are greater than you would willingly believe. Surely, if you credited one half the truths that are told you concerning the helpless millions suffering in this cruel bondage, you at the North would not help to tighten the yoke. You surely would refuse to do for the master on your own soil the mean and cruel work which trained bloodhounds and the lowest class of whites do for him at the South. Everywhere the years bring to all enough of sin and sorrow, but in slavery the very dawn of life is darkened by these shadows. Even the little child who is accustomed to wait on her mistress and her children will learn before she is 12 years old why it is that her mistress hates such and such a one among the slaves. Perhaps the child's own mother is among those hated ones. She listens to violent outbreaks of jealous passion and cannot help understanding what is the cause. She will become prematurely knowing in evil things. Soon she will learn to tremble when she hears her master's footfall. She will be compelled to realize that she is no longer a child. If God has bestowed beauty upon her, it will prove her greatest curse. That which commands admiration in the white woman only hastens the degradation of the black female, of the female slave, excuse me. I know that some are too much brutalized by slavery to feel the humiliation of their position, but many slaves feel it most acutely. To shrink from the memory of it. I cannot, so they push the trauma down. I cannot tell how much I suffered in the presence of these wrongs, nor how I am still pained by the retrospect. My master met me at every return, reminded me that I belonged to him, and swore by heaven and earth that he would compel me to submit to him. If I went out for a breath of fresh air after a day of unwearied toil, his footsteps dogged me. If I knelt by my mother's grave, his dark shadow fell on me even there. The light heart which nature had given me became heavy with sad forebodings. The other slaves in my master's house noticed the change. Many of them pitied me, but none dared to ask the cause. They had no need to inquire. They knew too well the guilty practices under that roof, and they were aware that to speak of them was an offense that never went unpunished. So there you have what it's like for people who don't have control of their lives. And when you're in a situation of control, so you could say the plantation, yes, but even the workplace. Um, there are plenty of women that were sleeping with their bosses to keep their jobs. And even during the Me Too movement, even now, I'm pretty sure there are women that are being abused, looked at, things said to them, or even have to resort to sexual favors. And we just need people to have control of their lives, and preferably from communities that have some kind of strength and cohesion, so that then when they're in the world, they're not so vulnerable. And I hope we get there. I hope we get there. Until next time, take care of your mind, take care of your body, and be safe.